No. Now that that's handled, I want to answer a lot of the questions that I got this week based on, fear of starting and how to start and what story and how to know what to put in and all this stuff. So I'm going to kind of break down what you need to do. So one of the questions was, how do I know if I have a story to tell or a creative thought? I don't think that those are different. I think that a creative thought is like a seed of an idea, because if we really break down story, all it is taking what surrounds us in the world and turning that into story, turning experiences, whether, my story of like looking at trash can be a story, right? We live in story. And so you're just bringing that into either a fiction realm or translating it and using analogy or metaphor to bring about an idea that you want to convey. The creative idea is just a seed of that. It's creative ideas are something that inspired you, that is in the created world that we have, because we don't create out of nothing. We just have stuff to work with. And then we can take that and go, oh, sweet, I like this. And then you move forward with it. Yeah, I feel like the root of this question is asking how to know when it's just an idea that maybe you want to build out, or when you have a full-blown story. And, it's a seed. And I would encourage just do it. If you have a creative idea for a story, or even, any form of story, right? So it doesn't have to be written. If you have an idea for a photo shoot or a painting or whatever, there's story in there, there's story behind it. And squashing the idea, squashing that like moment of inspiration is just going to lead to you having less and less and less creative ideas. So what we're doing is acknowledging the idea, loving it, and nurturing it to something. And over time, with practice, because creativity, writing, photography, anything, it's a skill. And it's a skill that you can learn and hone and get better at. So that's all we're doing with creative ideas, is take them, hone them. Maybe it's not exactly what you wanted it to be in the end, but next time you'll get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And then before you know it, you're a lot a bit better. So that one of the other questions that I got asked was, I have the entire story in my brain, right? But where do I start writing it? Like, it's all in there, but I just don't know where to start. And honestly, starting is the hardest part a lot of times, because starting a story, it feels like so much pressure because you already have the end in mind, right? If you have the entire story in your brain. So I would encourage you to just start wherever you feel like starting. It doesn't have to be the beginning. It can be at the end. And that's what's beautiful about art, is it doesn't have to be linear. You can just, there's no roadmap for any of this. You just kind of do whatever inspires you at the moment. And then you're just looking to serve the story as you move on down the road. How do I stay authentic and not just write what I think other people want to hear? That's a huge one, especially for like Enneagram 9s or 2s. Like, you're always relating to other people a lot of times, and it's hard. It's hard not to just always feel like someone is watching what you're typing, or, the story that you're telling, right? But what we have to keep in mind is an audience whenever we're writing. And I would recommend writing with a friend, someone that is supportive, someone that cares about you, someone that just wants you to succeed, is interested in reading what you have to write, interested in the projects that you're doing. This kind of person will allow you to just put your ideas out there. Let them be what they're going to be, and don't judge it too harshly, because when we start thinking of how to relate to so-and-so that's always been a critic of ours or whatever. It's like, it's just a recipe for disaster. And then this one kind of relates to the creative idea versus story, but it's how do I know what story to tell? Like which stories matter? And you don't know. You don't know which ones matter. And the only way that we get feedback on our stories is to put them out there. The purpose of art is to put beauty into the world and change someone's perspective or give them new insight or, just help move along the culture. We're culture setters. We're commenting on culture. We're commenting on the world around us in the art that we produce. And so the whole idea of that is you have to put it out in the world to know that if it's resonating with someone or not. But we don't think about that person, the person that we wanted to resonate with. It gets a little muddy, but you have to keep the friend in mind when you're writing. And then whenever you put it out in the world, you disassociate from it, the piece that you made, you disassociate from it and take the feedback. Did no one like it? Well, that's a bummer because you spent a lot of time on it. But maybe we can tweak this or that. I think having a critique group is incredibly beneficial because, I've been in a critique group for about 2.5 years, I believe. And the insights that they see in my writing change. Like I would never see that kind of stuff. And it's all done from a place of humility and honest encouragement. Like we all suck at some point. If I'm trying to do a different thing that I've never done before, I'm probably going to suck at it for a hot minute. But the community that you surround yourself with is going to be pretty beneficial. So a friend that you trust, they don't have to be a writer. You can just, outside perspective is honestly pretty good and unique. A well-crafted story evokes this feeling or sways thoughts or motivates actions. There are things that when they see this story, when they read this story or feel this, vibe or whatever, it's resonating to them on a deeper level. And that's not an easy thing to do. And the only way that we can do that is with practice. The last one's probably the most popular, in my opinion. I know that I've felt this. I know a lot of other artists have felt this. But I'm probably going to look or sound stupid. The answer is yeah, maybe. But to who is my question. Who are you going to sound stupid to? Is it the big meanie, the guy that you just, nothing that you do will ever be good enough in his standard? Or are you sounding stupid to a friend? Well, if that's the case, then that's good to know, right? Like if it's from someone that we trust and they're like, hey, you kind of came across weird in that. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about this. But if the person that you're afraid of calling you stupid or thinking that you're dumb or sound like an idiot, you have to get rid of those noises because that's not a productive way to go about creating at all. This week we're going to start writing. We're going to work off of our outline that we did previous, like 2 weeks ago, I guess. And we're just going to write 300 words a day for like 6-7 days. And we're just going to get after it. Just move the story along. Don't think about, this isn't good. Don't self-edit while you're writing. Just put it out there. Just write it. First draft this thing. Let it be what it's going to be, and then we'll come back to it later and revise it and make it better. 300 words a day is not that much. I know it sounds like a lot, but the only reason it sounds like a lot is because you have barriers of entry. And that's why I wanted to do this, is to break down those barriers of entry, get in the right frame of mind to just create and not judge. This is not the time for judgment. Next week, we'll revise, and that's the time to think critically about your work. But this week is just about creating. We're going to write 300 words, and then whenever you hit the word limit, you can totally stop. You don't have to keep on going, but if you're feeling it and you're kind of in the flow of it, keep going. If you have time, enjoy it. So we're going to end this with a little quote. It's from Brockmeyer and Carborough's book, The Narrative and Identity, Studies in Autobiography, Self, and Culture. Modern psychology considers that at least some, and perhaps all, of human identity is story. I am the story I tell myself about what happens to me, so to speak. The very idea of human identity, perhaps we can say even the possibility of human identity, is tied to the very notion of narrative and narrativity. To sum that up, we are story. The end. Until next week, guys, be well, do good work, stay disciplined.